Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Welcome back to the third week of our weekly challenge. I'm really excited to be here with you as we get closer to Halloween. As you guys know, we are about a week out or so from Halloween. It's crazy how fast October went by. Um, but I am excited to hop into some spooky stuff for you guys. And what we're going to be working on today is a fun spectral ghost of a stream. And we're going to be making a floating ghost that you should have access to in your project files if you'd like. This is a live stream, but I promise to make it as exciting for you guys as possible if you're watching the replay. Hello to Alessandra and Oliver, Umacorn, Christelle, Sean, Jack, Robert, everyone in the chat. It's great to see you guys here. If you have questions while we hop into stuff, please, by all means, throw it in the chat, and we will be sure to get to it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and we can hop on into the After Effects. Now, I say the After Effects because I'm really excited because we have an all new UI. If you tuned in for just a few weeks ago before Adobe Max, you would know that this was a little bit different. There's been an updated user interface for Adobe After Effects, and it is really cool to see all the new updates and that you can now kind of navigate around After Effects with small to nothing lag, you name it. So make sure you check that out. But I first want to show you guys where we're going to land upon. We're going to land here with this floating ghost. And this idea here of it being 3D, but it's kind of fake 3D. And we'll be able to do some cool effects like glow and blinking to make sure that it is as fun and spooky as possible. We might even switch it up, but you should be able to see all of it and be able to make your own little ghost. So I would love to see what you guys create as we do this. Maybe you take some creative liberties, and I'd love to see them. Make sure you send them my way. And Sean is saying new UI and Adobe After Effects. Well, yeah, check it out. You'll see some icons are a little bit different and things are bigger and a little bit spaced out in a more effective way. Same thing with Premiere. They have user interfaces, which so the first thing we're going to do to achieve this is we need to start with maybe this most complicated part of it is this little area on the bottom. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to open up a new composition because that's where we start everything. In this case, I'm going to make it like 10 seconds long. Doesn't really matter. But here under our new composition, it's called Comp 1, but maybe we call this Swirling Bottom. I'm also going to go ahead and just because of this, I am going to create a new folder and I'm going to say done file. Now, this is because if you guys are working in the same file that I have as our working files, you'll be able to see that it can all be placed into done file. And that way we can just tell what's new, what's old. One of the first things that we're going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and create a square using this tool up here, the rectangle tool. You can get to it by pressing Q, and you can just expand it like this, and you can make the size of your ghost. He can be as wide or as skinny as you want him to be. It also doesn't necessarily have to be white, but I just like to start with the white because that's kind of what you think of with little ghost sheets. I'm going to go up into our Align panel, and if that's not visible for you, you can go under Window and then go to Align. I'm just going to center it both horizontally and vertically to our composition. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not making it its own thing, it's because what we're going to do to make the little swivel is we're going to go into our effects section and we're going to add the wave warp. So distort wave warp is where it is. You can also go and search for wave warp. With wave warp, we're going to then select on top of here, and you'll see that it's immediately going to add it to the top and the bottom, which is why we want this to be its own thing. Does my ghost need to be a he? No, it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be a she. It can be a they. It can be whatever you'd like. It can just be a phantom ghost. It can be whatever you'd like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the wave width a little bit longer because these are some fun factors that we can play with. As you increase the wave width, you can see here that the width of which the wave is happening is getting longer and longer. So you can make it flag-like if you would like. Maybe it's a little bit more of a flowy, or maybe there are more sections. And And then you can also mess around with the wave height here. You can bring it up and down. You can create it to be higher. And you can also adjust the direction if you would like. But for our use cases, we're going to just have it be 90 degrees. Okay. We then also have some flexibility over wave speed. So if we just play it regularly right now, you can see it's going like that. If we want to speed it up, we're able to do this. Be a little bit faster, but I personally kind of like the 1.0 that we have. So let's just leave it at that. You can also change the wave type if you'd like, but once again, in our case, you don't need that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a circle. Okay. And I am going to place that circle on top of the spinning piece. And I'm just going to drag it across until it is big enough to take up the entire area that is going to be the ghost here. So you can see it can maybe be a little bit smaller, it can be a little bit bigger. You just want to make it so that it seems like it is consciously, smoothly transitioning from vertical into a rounded top. For my preference, what I like to do is I'm going to duplicate our composition, and I'm going to go into that new composition. Now I press Control D to get that, and it's going to be swirling bottom 2. I'm just going to change this to assembled ghost. And I'm actually going to delete the bottom area. So now this is in the right space, but then I'm going to create swirling bottom, and I'm going to drag it down. So it's going to put it in the exact same spot, but now we have this area where there is this kind of flowing side. What I want to do from here is we're going to want to make some sort of differentiator between the front and the back, but I want to assemble that on, you guessed it, another composition. So we're going to press Control D to duplicate assembled ghost, and from here I will just say fake 3D. And from here what we'll do is we'll duplicate the swirling bottom by pressing Control D in our layer, and I'm going to go and right click and go to transform horizontal, and you'll see that it'll begin to show up here. Oliver says, my ghost doesn't conform to the rules of your astral plane, which I love. And you can see it's starting to look a little bit weird because we don't have any sort of division between the front and the back here. So what I'd actually like to do is from our assembled ghost here, which I can go and bring on top because this is our duplicated layer with fake 3D, I'm going to highlight these, going to delete that area. We're then going to open up a new effect, and we're going to go into glow. Now we can have some fun with this. I'm going to highlight it and bring it over to assembled ghost. And rather than glow based on color channels, we're going to say alpha channels. And we are going to change the colors here to maybe like a blue. And what you might even want to do in this scenario is make them like really crazy colors, because then once you change it to a different area, it's going to kind of want to show up, and you're going to want to see how it is attaching onto it. I'm going to go real quick. I'm going to double check this. I don't want you guys to get switched up. What we're doing here is change this to none. And then that kind of reveals this new area that we can see is very ugly colors, obviously. But we then have an ability to kind of adjust this midpoint. And we're able to also adjust the color phase. Important, because that'll kind of distribute how the glow is distributed across your area. We're then also going to change the colors to be a little bit more spooky, like we wanted to. I'm going to change the color A to white and color B to a blue of sorts. And you'll see that it's automatically updated in my composition. You can see over here, there are these areas where it is adjusting as I switch the color midpoint. And you can also increase or decrease the amount of color loops that you want. Really nice. You can also change the color phase, which will help us create this dynamic change of having this glowy blue here. And you can continue to mess with all the different settings to get it to be the spot where you want. If you want it to have a little bit edgier of a side, you can bring down that midpoint to like an 11, but I'm going to bring it up so it's a little bit. You also have the ability to change it from horizontal and vertical. You also can increase or decrease threshold. Flow radius is going to bring it in and out. We're going to bring it in a little bit more so that it has something like this. And then we kind of have this vibe. So with the fake 3D, we can see that now there is space for the swirling bottom to then be duplicated and transformed horizontally. And when we do that, you'll see that we begin to see this kind of fake illusion of 3D here. What you can do is you can then copy and paste that same glow that we have here. And you can apply that to the swirling bottom as well. And what I actually like to do is then we're going to just grab the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to mask out anything above there. That way it's only applying it to the lower area. And if you'd like, you can then also decrease the values of this to make it feel a little bit more shadow-like, and thus feeling more of a shadow that's happening. So you'll see that I have here, then there's this kind of this area where now it has this vibe. It might be something where you feel like you can see too much of the edge. You can bring these up and down so that they match. You also have the ability to mask out in a circle as you want. Swirly bottom is a technical term. All right. So from here, we still want to be able to make cute little eyes that we want to have on the face. We also want to be able to have it bob up and down. So what I like to do here is, if you guys are catching on to a theme, I like to then make a duplicate by saying new composition from selection. And from here, go to fake 3D. And I like to create a new eye, maybe here, like this, using the ellipse tool. We're going to fill it in with black. Zoom on in. And I'm going to drop down into the ellipse path, bring in the size. And you can adjust it here if you'd like to make it a little bit like wider or taller and you're not affecting the scale. But then you go over and you can adjust the rotation. You can adjust the size a little bit more. And I like to have them kind of lean just a little bit. What I then like to do is change this to just eye, and I like to make it a pre-comp. Compose this, and we'll say blinking. Once we hop into blinking, it seems like it's gone, but you just toggle the transparency grid. I then want to create a mask. And actually what we're going to do is, if you guys watch me a lot, you know I like the region of interest. You can then just switch out the region of interest and make it this tiny thing. That way it just exists in this plane. I had a swirling bottom after eating Taco Bell. That's enough, Rick. I had the pleasure of hanging out with Rick at Max last week, I guess. Then I'm going to use the pen tool to create a mask. So I press the G, and then I'm going to go over to tool create mask rather than a shape. And I'm going to click and drag so that it creates this mask. I wanted to actually hide it rather than add to it. So we can either do invert or subtract. Depends on what your preference is. And then under masks, if you twirl it down, you can actually add a keyframe to the mask. And from there, what I want to do, I want to make it tinier. And I just double click to get there. But I still want it to feel like there is a sense of like an eyelid still there. So I'm going to actually add an extra anchor point. And then that'll be a keyframe. Then we'll move forward, and we're going to go, and we can just put everything straight up. And that can be helpful to have kind of this blink. In this case, I had done it backwards, so we're going to actually switch out the keyframes here. I'm going to copy and paste this. And we can see that maybe that's not the best blink. So let's go in our value or our speed ramps. We're just going to drag these out so that it feels a little bit more natural. I feel like you open your eye faster than you close it. So we'll make them both go to the left. So it's like, we can even. You can also adjust the timing of this. I'm selecting all, holding down Alt. And then I like to just kind of like give it a second or two. You can copy this first frame. And then that way, when we go in and we can do a time remap of this. We can make it loop out. So composition, comp. You can see that it's still here, but it's no longer on our area. If you end up losing it, you can always just make sure that you have this little area toggled on. And alternatively, you can also go it everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this with Control D, right click, transform to flip horizontal. Eyes, and we can see. I feel like maybe this is even still happening too late, so maybe it's like a. And it also would help sometimes is if you are to add like a scale adjustment to this by pressing S, then you can like adjust and add a little bit of like an added blink scenario here. So it's like, because that way it feels a little bit more fluttery. We're then going to add some circles here for some blushing. E. Left. Hit it. That one on right. And as I said for this, we're going to be able to time remap it, but I'm just going to put everything together on the face. So let's go in and also make some eyebrows if we would like to. And make that a stroke rather than a fill. Change stroke over here to a butt cap is what it's called. Or a round cap is what we change it to. Butt cap. And maybe we make this like or we could even make this blue. That'd be fun if it and maybe with that we can also make our own shape, our path. And as it goes down, we can then adjust, switch. And if you make changes to the position when you're in that, you're also going to messing it. We're going to highlight all of them. Oop. And then we're going to do the same thing here, where well, actually you could maybe you could even add it to here. I didn't try this before. Go to mirror and add mirror. If you choose the center point, be over here. Yes. The only problem here is then it's going to be a little bit off. You know, one's not going to be higher, but we could also always do this. Where it maybe. Ooh. Maybe you wouldn't want to do that, but actually kind of fun if they're off center, but then they have this. So we'll go like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of these areas and pre-compose them. That'll make it a lot easier when we go to time, enable time remapping. And then from there, we can alt click and just say loop out. And now it will continue to flip it out. Now, I honestly just kind of wanted to go to this point and then do a flip out. So you can continue to play with it. It'll just automatically go back to the beginning. If you want to make it a little bit longer or slower, you can also drag that out and it'll adjust accordingly. But he's still not moving much. So I really kind of want to go and I want to parent it to the fake 3D here. And we're going to do a little bob here. I'm going to do position, alt click, wiggle, and we'll just say like, every second, or it's going to move one time every 10 frames. This around and flutters. And then what you could do at the very end here is you could also add an adjustment layer, put it on top of everything, and then we're going to return to glow. But this time the glow is going to be way more of a adjustment to the whole thing. It's going to also apply it to the eyes as well. And this is where you can have fun with a lot of the radius. If you kind of have like a big glow behind it, you could also like recompose this, or you could bring it so it's like you could copy this top so that it kind of has this extra layer. And then of course, one last thing that we might want to do is want to add some sort of reflection or area on the bottom. And there's two ways we could do that. We could do an adjustment layer, and adjustment layer will put it on top of everything. Put a mirror. We can duplicate ghost, adjust the reflection angle down like this. And then you could even just take a ellipse tool and you could create some sort of mask, which you can then feather up and down. Just this so that it and what do you know? Then we kind of have this 3D ghost. So guys, this is been another fun little update. Next week we're going to be combining and moving everyone over into a singular scene, and so I'm really hoping that you guys join me for the last stream next week at the same time. But you guys should stay tuned and stick around because we have more fill coming up. That'll be another fill that we have, and we'll be here to help you out with everything that you need to know with your weekly challenge for his third week as well. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for keeping me company in the chat, and I will see you all real soon.